Welcome back to Sous Vide Everything, guys. You saw the thumbnail. Today is something from my childhood. I hope you guys enjoy it. Check it out. This is a regular cabbage that you find it anywhere. And this is what we're going to be making today. Not only is it a beautiful presentation, but absolutely delicious. As you can see, I'm going to be using the green cabbage, but if you have purple, it will work just fine. However, I do believe the presentation of the green one is much better. The first step is to remove the core. If you don't do that, the leaves will break, and removing the core makes everything just much easier. Just be extremely careful and make sure you use a paring knife. As you can see, it's not a big deal. Now, I recommend a barbecue fork or a very long knife, anything that you can get a hold on the cabbage just like this. This is for safety only, and it will make sure to protect your hand from a boiling water, because that is the next thing we need to do. When you're adding the cabbage to the boiling water, what happens is the leaf starts just falling apart completely by itself. And just like I mentioned previously, it will not break any of them. And having the barbecue fork securing it makes the job a lot easier. You want to stop the cooking process as soon as they start falling out. And to do that, an ice bath is the best way to do it. As soon as they fall off, put it in the ice bath and let them rest for 1 minute. To keep their freshness, I recommend putting it on a cooling rack with a paper towel. That allows you to dry all the moisture from the leaves. Now, it does not matter how much you try, you're not going to be able to take every single leaf out. And that's okay because we're not going to be needing every leaf. I recommend only removing the larger ones. By the time I was done, this is what I got. As you can see, most of them are the large leaves. And whenever you poach any vegetable in water, the colors really pop. And the smallest one, you can see I was left with a big ball. But that's okay because we can use it for our stuffing. Just make sure you slice it to the thinnest you like. I recommend about this thick. That way it can incorporate nicely into the stuffing. Talking about stuffing, these are all the ingredients we're going to be using for it. Remember, exact amount and ingredients always in the description down below for you. The first one is carrots. And the first thing I like to do is to use a peeler to make sure I remove all the outer skin. This is a lot more effective than washing it. Once that's done, all there's left to do is to dice them up. What you're really looking for is even sized pieces. That way you will have a beautiful presentation in the end. I'm also using white onions. You could use yellow onions, which have a lot more flavor. But keep in mind that we're going to be adding a lot of different items and you don't want anything to overpower each other. So white sweet onions will work great. For this one, I definitely recommend using fresh garlic. And a little food hand processor is perfect for this. You just gotta pull the string. There's no need for electricity or anything. And the best part, this little food processor is cheap. I will tell you one thing though, they are so cheap that they break. But hey, they make the job nice and easy. Check out these garlics. It's way more effective than anything else. Now we gotta cook these vegetables and I started off by throwing a little bit of high heat oil. I'm using avocado, but you can use any other oil you like. I started by throwing the carrots and the onions. Cook them until I got a nice color. Just make sure you don't cook all the way through. As you can see, I was left with a little bit of fond on the bottom of the pan. To deglaze it, just throw in a little bit of chicken stock. And make sure you take it all out. Now throw in your garlic, mix it well, and cook everything through. The aroma that is coming out of these cooked vegetables is phenomenal. Just make sure you give them a nice color and they are ready. At this stage, I would say my carrots is halfway cooked. Now, I really enjoy cheese on my stuffed cabbage, so I started with a little bit of mozzarella cheese, followed by a ridiculous amount of Parmigiano Reggiano. When I say ridiculous amount, I mean it. Cheese does make everything better. I also combined a little bit of parsley and ham. I wish I had parm ham, but for obvious reason, we don't have everything we want. And for parsley, I'm using this one. I would usually use the curly version, but as you can see, this is the only thing I have left, and it's just not enough. That goes to show you that with this recipe, you gotta make it your own. And of course, I use my little handy food processor. Just throw everything in and pull that cord. Once the leaves are done, throw in the ham and mix everything well. As you can see, that little thing did its job. Everything is chopped up and ready. For the meat, I'm gonna be using these Italian sausages. They are great because they have a wonderful flavor and it's completely seasoned already. But hey, if you have any other meat available, use it. To do that, it's pretty straightforward. You just gotta use your knife and make sure you take them all out. And there we have it. As affordable as it gets. Now that everything is ready, we just gotta combine them, and here's how. I started off with the carrots and onions, followed by the sausage meat, all of the cheese, the herbs and ham mix, 2 whole eggs, freshly ground black pepper, salt, and mix it well. By the time I was done, this is what I was left with. Now to make this a Brazilian stuffed cabbage, you gotta add one more ingredient, and that will be steamed rice. I'm not quite sure if that's traditional, but that's how we do it in Brazil. It makes it a complete meal out of this thing, and the rice sucks up all the juices, which make it even better. And if you still need more filling, just add the rest of the cabbage. Now all there's left to do is to mix everything well. And once I was done, this is what I got. Even though it's not fully cooked yet, it smells fantastic. If you want to have a beautiful presentation in the end, this is a requirement. I started off by putting some plastic film on the bowl. Make sure to add a good amount, and it is important that it hangs over the edges. The next thing to do is to add all your leaves. Start by working your way around the edges, and make sure to have an overlap, just like this. For the stuffing, try to add all of it. Don't leave any of this goodness behind. And most important, make sure you pack it down. The last thing you need is some air gaps in between and also the edges. So press it down like you mean it. By the time I was done, it looks like one whole piece. Now fold in the edges and close everything up. If needed, add some of the leaves on top. Using the clinch film, make sure you close everything tight. That way you have a nice presentation in the end. Now that we have it ready, I like to put it in the freezer so it can firm up for 30 minutes. To make sure that it holds its shape, I like to fasten it with butcher's twine. Once the 30 minutes are up, just remove the clinch plastic and tie it all up. And once I was done, this is what it looks like. That is the beginning of a wonderful dish. Now all there's left to do is to put it in a vacuum bag and get it ready for sous vide. To go along with our cabbage, I'm also making an easy tomato sauce. I started off by throwing a little bit of olive oil in the pan, followed by shallots and garlic. Cooked everything until it becomes translucent. Keep the heat in low so that they don't burn. Then throw in your tomato and let them cook. I recommend breaking them apart with a spoon. To season it, I started with a little bit of sugar. This will cut down on the acidity, followed by dry basil, fine salt, and freshly ground black pepper. Mix it well to reduce and make sure you taste it for seasoning. Once it has the consistency you're happy with, your sauce is done. As I mentioned before, I like mine nice and chunky. But now that the sauce is ready, it's time to cook our cabbage. And for that, I'm going to be cooking it in a large container at 185 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 hours. And I can't wait to find out how it's gonna taste. I got my beautiful stuffed cabbage cooked at 185 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 hours. Now you gotta cook it at high temperature. If not, the vegetables will not get soft. And most importantly, the juices from the vegetables will not get extracted and mixed together with all that stuffing. Now keep in mind that cabbage and most of the vegetables, 90% of all the vegetables, they float like a boat, everybody. So it is important to make sure it's submerged all the way in the water whenever you're cooking anything that has to do with vegetables. But with all that being said, it is enough talking and it's time to take it out. Let's do it. There's one thing that you guys cannot experience, and that is the smell. It smells so wonderful. All the vegetables combined together with the sausage brings out an incredible smell, everybody. Now, of course, I'm not gonna be putting a sear on this thing here and patting it dry like I normally do. It's pretty much ready to go. It's important to let it rest for a little bit. You don't wanna cut it open immediately once it comes out of the water bath. So I'm gonna give it about 20 minutes and then I'm gonna slice it open and do a nice beautiful presentation that you guys can do it at home. But I know it doesn't look that good right now. But watch this. There we have it, my take on sous vide stuffed cabbage. It looks beautiful. First and foremost, I want to give a big shout out to Bruno Obuz. He inspired me to cook this dish. He made it on his channel, and then I said, you know what, I gotta give that a go. So Bruno, if you are watching this, thank you for the inspiration, brother. If you don't have sausage, you can make it with ground beef, even ground turkey or ground whatever. Just mix all the vegetables together and do it just like that. Enough talking, let's give this a try. Cheers, everybody. This thing is fantastic. Also, very healthy. Most of it is vegetables, and the fat of the sausage also is inside of the vegetables. My family is waiting for this one. I'm gonna eat the whole thing. I'm telling you right now. Anyway, guys, this is fantastic. I hope you give it a try. I wish Mau, Angel were here, and even Sam to give it a try with me. But we are doing social distancing. I even almost forgot the name. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do enjoy it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe for future videos. Remember, if you are interested in anything I use, everything is always in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. I'm telling you, I'm gonna finish this whole thing. So good! So good!